thing.
Even just the time dilation feels pretty nice against him too. If he goes too deep, you can really punish him with that additional slow coming through. You're going to use at least 2 spells to be able to try and secure a lot of these kills. Ooh, Coddle of the Light. All right, this is good, right? I was talking about Wind Ranger stuff that's going to be able to secure a lot of those range creeps. The Coddle absolutely will. I mentioned that they don't have a ton of lockdown, so Coddle feels pretty nice, and you're going to be able to slow down the game somewhat just by shoving out those lanes consistently and enabling what I was mentioning was the scariest hero for Team Xtreme Gaming having to go up against in the early game to prevent this all-in deathball style, which is the Timber Saw. So if you just are able to Chakra Magic the Timber, sure, you don't give him back as much mana as you used to, but the cooldown reduction is still there. So XXS is in a position to potentially be a very, very scary boy. This
Xtreme have plenty of ways to be able to get on top of them, but again, a lot of it comes down to how does the first 15 minutes go? Can you be able to open up the map, get these towers, and then get these kills? Because as you go later and later, Aster are going to be very scary with their team fight.
I think that's the big thing for mine as well, but I really feel like the Coddle is one of the better heroes that they could have picked to be able to prevent this. Like I was talking about OD wanting to go the Meteor Hammer. I feel like SumaiL is almost never going to give him the opportunity to be able to use the Meteor into the tower. He's just going to be spamming out that Illuminate into the lane, keeping the lane well pushed away. And OD, for all its strengths, it really doesn't push lanes all that well. Looks like they've already scouted out that they've got some sort of vision there. So we could see some sentries start to be placed down, but I mean, both teams are generally okay with a brawl, right? Like Phoenix with Fire Spirits early on, very, very strong. Actually going to look to deny their own Observer.
Gotta say, this series, I mean, for the team that's able to make it, to win this and move over to the upper bracket finals, it puts you in such a commanding position. Further, you don't have to play an extra couple of lower bracket series.
Top 3 guaranteed.
Top 3 guaranteed. So,
I want a prediction, Lucky. Who's taking the series?
Oh, the series. I don't like that. You said
Xtreme Gaming, you prefer their draft, so they've got game 1 in your eyes. Do you think they have games 2 and 3 as well? Or maybe not even the 3.
Maybe not even the 3. Yeah. No, I think the safe answer is Aster.
The safe answer is Aster, but you've never gone safe. You've always been one to try and change things up a little bit. Come on, put it out there.
No, I'll say Aster. I think it is just... yeah, we'll go safe this time.
I think it's Aster because they're going to win this game.
Okay. So what has to go right for Aster to be able to get the dub in this game?
SumaiL needs to have an incredibly good time, and they need to read when a lot of these rotations are coming towards him so that he doesn't get taken out and he doesn't lose that mid tower early on. He just needs to delay the game. We mentioned that if it gets to 35 minutes, they've got this one in the bag, and I still very much feel like that. You know, you're going to have things like BKB so that you're not really worried about the Primal Beast anymore. You're not worried about the Earth Spirit. Really, the only one that you would need to be concerned about is the Razor at that point. So that's really the thing that I'm looking for first and foremost. Kaka is under a little bit of threat here, but isn't going to get fully chased down. Might just be softening him up for the next attempt. DY still holding on to that Blood Grenade and getting some pulls happening. So Kaka is going to need to be put into a riskier spot moving forward.
Yeah, and he's definitely going to be the vulnerable one, but he's also the person that can kind of stop any aggression up top with that Earth Spike. So we see whenever the Earth Spike is used and Timber Chain is used, Ghost is going to be able to play pretty aggressive. So far, nothing too crazy. I do want to go back to SumaiL because you felt like he was going to be the catalyst for Aster. We saw yesterday in our series, we got to cast a Coddle that wasn't really able to get them over the finish line. What do we want in regards to like the item build for SumaiL in this game in particular?
Anything that just enables him to play safe, basically. Like, this isn't an amazing Spirit Vessel game, you know? Like, there's nothing really that you're wanting to prevent in terms of healing all that much. I guess the Razor eventually, if he opts to go into some sort of weird Bloodstone sort of build, but it's just for his own survivability in my eyes. So Boots of Travel makes a lot of sense. He wants to be able to respond to a lot of the early aggression. He wants to be able to play around the Timber Saw if eventually you know, you open up that tier 1 top tower once XXS has a Vanguard, and then you can look to make plays alongside him. But even just for the extra movement speed, right? You pop the Spirit Form, it's going to be very hard to catch him, and you still don't have a ton of reliable lockdown, let's call it, on Xtreme Gaming to be able to catch this coddle.
Okay. Now seeing a little bit of back and forth down bottom, just with some spells getting traded in the past 30 seconds. We'll see if that's going to continue as well once these two sides are able to pick up some levels and potentially buy this Lotus timing as well. Does look like Aster have a bit more of a numbers advantage. JT has a bigger creep wave, so he's not going to commit, and meanwhile Aster up top are going to get the second Lotus as well. So that's already a pretty good start for the side lanes on Radiant.
It is, but yeah, Monet is just having an incredible time on this lane so far. Really hasn't been pressured all that much. Again, you're into a couple of melee heroes with a Phoenix, probably one of the better heroes at just being able to punish with those fire spirits. There's a horrible creep pull that he's got with those kobolds, but they give a lot of experience. So if there's any sort of silver lining for that, it means that he's going to be able to get up onto this level 3 and really start to put a lot of the extra pressure in onto these melee cores.
When are we expecting XinQ to even start to actually top lane Kaka? There we go, first blood. Ghost able to snipe it from downtown. XXS trying to do whatever he can to put some damage back in a Ghost, but it's not going to be enough to avenge the Lion. So Xtreme, they're going to be able to strike first in our game 1.
All that extra work, just softening him up that little bit extra, right? It ends up eventually causing the Lion to be in a little bit of distress. He's got the infused raindrops picked up now, so obviously going to be a lot less vulnerable to things like the plasma field and the sticky bomb. But with all of this, I mean, Techies is still as strong as ever at being one of those lane dominators, right? You've just got insane range, you've got good attack damage, and with that, he's been able to get this double pull off, one of them being a Harpy Stormcrafter camp. So this wave is going to be removed very, very quickly. XXS might be in a bit deep.
And they're going to be able to punish him. No, chains over the top. Really low on resources though from XXS. He doesn't have enough gold as well for the Ring of Health. And nothing coming out in the courier too.
Tango maybe, just for that extra
bottom lane,
duration.
JT. No bash from Monet. XinQ forced the TP down though, so he was starting to maybe consider about pathing his way over to mid. Drops a deep observe ward inside the Radiant jungle, but yeah, with JT getting dived, XinQ has to come back.
So I mentioned how this is a good game for SumaiL on his Keeper of the Light, just because, again, you're going to be able to stall out these lane pushes. You're going to be able to punish the fact that they don't have a lot of catch. But you got to say, for XM as well, there's really not too much that he's concerned about until you start to see rotations come through from Kaka and Monet. You know, he is just not going to get caught out too easily. He's going to be able to farm very nicely. I don't know if you can afford to go the Midas, but he's just going like a value build, right? Going into the power treads, he's going into a couple of null talismans just for that additional max mana, and so that he's peaking around that like 25-ish minute mark when you do start to see the extra value come out of the null tallies.
I know he's not master tier on this hero, but I do think back in the day when he had his kind of longer performance on CDC, I think the OD was one of his best heroes, and we're going to see him be able to snipe a kill. Even XinQ's going to try and come in the neighborhood just in case to pump in some damage. He will be forced to use the Sanities, which is definitely would have hoped to get the kill without it. Wonder if he tries to go for SumaiL now. What's he going to consider on XM? 3 points in Astral can potentially set up for XinQ. He's not close enough to get the roll, but it will set up for DY's blast off. And Kaka is going to have to watch on the side and idly do nothing. They'll even TP the Phoenix, but that too will not stop Xtreme Gaming as DY rewarded with the double kill. And XM loving life with the start that he's been able to get on the Outward Devourer.
Yeah, not really the heroes that you expect to think of when you think power runes, right? A Keeper of the Light and an OD, neither of them buying the bottle, but we just see there the impact of having a haste rune. You know, Coddle, very speedy, like we've been saying, even popped the Spirit Form for that additional 15% movement speed, but he is just absolute paper if you're able to get in on top of him. Nice rotation, has to be said, from the supports as well. Making sure to give him a bit of an easier time.
DY. Oh my god, this guy is crazy. That was a really good timing of the blast stuff, just predicting that Kaka was there. I mean, this is going to be... If he can get out of this one somehow, I'd be quite impressed. But yeah, XXS wants a little bit of gold, a little bit of experience as well. So DY will make him work for it, but at least he was able to get the Wisdom Room, and XinQ got the other Wisdom Room as well. I do want to go back to this build on XM So we're going to see a bit of a different idea from him with the Blink Dagger, which is very interesting. You have this Blink Astral to be able to set up for the role. I think it's something that you kind of discussed yesterday when we had the Earth Spirit, that the higher point in the change from the Ember was going to be able to guarantee his kind of movements across the map. So we did say, like, Dai want to play very aggressive, and this is a bit of a different look from XM without going the Meteor.
Yeah, I'm fine with it, right? I really feel like the Coddle, if you went Meteor Hammer, you would never be casting Meteor Hammer into the tower unless it was like a one-team fight, kind of like what we just saw there. So going the Blink Dagger, I'm not sure if it means that he's going to be able to like blink forward and set up for... Sorry, I'm just watching.
He's in trouble.
Is he in trouble?
That he is. They're going to need to TP multiple members in. Kaka's already set up for the stun. It's off the mark, goes for SumaiL instead, which stops some of the damage. They want to think about turning around. Sanity's still on cooldown for another 20 seconds. XM might be lacking some damage, and Xtreme is still not bringing extra members in. It's going to take a while for the +1s to come. The silence from XinQ will help the retreat. DY's finally here. It will not be needed in the end.
Just gets caught by that Illuminate. So yeah, what I was saying about the Blink Dagger on XM, yeah, you can use it to set up for things if you've got really good vision. You still don't really want to be expending all of your movement, though, in case they have some sort of counterplay available. And eventually you will, right? Lion's going to be able to get into a Blink Dagger pretty early on, especially with all these stacks that Kaka has been making for himself. You've got a Coddle to be able to take it. You've got a Timber to be able to take it. So he's going to get his level. He's going to get his farm. But I really think that this Blink Dagger is to, like, confirm on a successful initiation, right? You've got the burst damage there to be able to really just smack him a few times and then drop the hammer.
What do we think an Xtreme can do to try and pressure these stacks? Because we spoke about in the draft that the experience is going to be a really vital thing for Aster supports, and losing both those wisdom rooms is going to hurt it. So it looks like maybe bringing all these members over, even Ghost as well. They might be able to get the kill, but they've got to be cautious again. I think that's Monet tipping him with the threat of the Chrono. If they group up, it's going to be on to 2, and XXS is outside of the bubble, so he can get the Chakram damage to secure the first kill. Nice. What a blast off, though. Stops him mid-dive, and now Ghost, he won't be able to turn it back around, though. XXS still proving to be a bit of a threat, but maybe with XinQ nearby, and even JT comes all the way down from the southern side of the map, as why not have a 10-man brawl 10 minutes into the game.
Either. So there we go. Use it to just yoink away a lot of those stacks. Really solid movements coming from Xtreme Gaming, and I would be surprised if it wasn't XinQ being the one to call a lot of this. I mean, SumaiL has been able to secure finally one of those power runes, but I mean, it's not going to be enough. You're hard to catch, but not if you put yourself in a vulnerable position like that.
And this could start to get real scary now. I mean, it's a 3,000 net worth lead here for Xtreme Gaming, and once you get this advantage, you can really start to roll over the map.
This is the start that they needed, though, right? We always said they were going to have the better early game. It's the late game that Aster are really going to try and be playing for. So taking away those stacks is a big way to be able to prevent that sort of thing from happening. They're even looking to try and take away this Ancient stack, I feel. They're going to be able to do it just with these 3 heroes? I'm not sure.
I think with the mines, yeah.
Yeah, with mines, I suppose.
But they're such a high level on the supports, dude. That's so crazy. XM's not going to hesitate with dropping the hammer. It's a pretty good egg over to the right side as well. They'll trade supports and get out. I think some of the bigger Ancients are still left standing, so at least Aster's going to be able to claim that.
But I mean, it's a lot of gold that you ended up losing, and a lot of stack gold as well for Kaka. That's the big thing. So he doesn't get all of those levels that he was wanting. It's 11.5, and he's still level 4 off the back of those wisdom runes not going his way, and off the back of losing just all of those stacks. So this is really setting Aster back a fair amount. You don't even have that same level of counterplay as well with the Finger of Death potential to be able to punish these deep dives that Xtreme Gaming are going for.
So what do Aster need to do over the next couple of minutes to be able to unlock Kaka? Because like you said, level 4, he's rushing Blink, and I mean, no surprise about it being the Lion, but he's going to need a lane to be able to farm. So what do Aster need to do to kind of open up the game for him? So I mean, I'm going to look for positive signs for Aster right now, right? They still got all of their towers. So he could just look to stick in this mid lane a little bit, just see what's going on with the power runes. It's spawning bot, it's a regen. Doesn't really matter all that much, right? It's not an active rune. It just, you know, makes you able to sustain in the lane a whole lot better. So I think they can afford to give this through to Kaka. You've got a Keeper of the Light who would love to be farming those Ancient stacks right now, but he can still farm the jungle. There's no real harm in that. And you've got the Chronosphere available bottom. You've got the Boots of Travel available for SumaiL as well, who is going into the Spirit Vessel still, but
Yeah, I think it's just about giving Kaka a little bit of space so that you've got that turnaround potential and you get closer and closer towards that blink. Finally starting to put a little bit of that business into the tower, though.
And
We thought going like a casual Blightstone just to be able to speed up this tower taking just a little bit.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
They will look to get it in the end, and while they're doing that, Ghost is just free farming top lane. This guy has what is his net worth? At his level 303. Yasha coming out on the choreo for Ghost. He is ridiculously farmed, and that was the person you were kind of highlighting to start the day as well. That Ghost has had some incredible showings so far. We're going to see them try and make the attempt onto XXS. Already used the chain. It's going to be up in a couple of seconds, but the damage that's been dealt, they can chase him down with the slows. And meanwhile, bottom lane as well, the action continuing to break out, but the Supernova's going to get used. Monet's got the Chrono to potentially turn it as well. With the SumaiL off for the outskirts, they've got the damage. That is a much needed combo of spells from Aster to get the double kill.
It is indeed, but again, like you mentioned, Ghost, he's just sitting up here on the top side. He's got the Mask of Madness running. He's taking away towers. Not really the main strength. I mean, we often see that with a Razor off the back of like an Aghanim Scepter and that sort of thing, but if you're able to just wipe out a hero, prevent that protection, and you know that there's not going to be a Chronosphere to punish you, you can pop that Mom, and you can make sure that you're just open to bringing the map in a position to be favoring you. They finally do get that Wisdom Rune though, so Kaka, level 7 now. He's just 700 gold away from that Blink Dagger. He's built up more stacks for XXS to be able to take. They're going to use an Illusion Rune to spook them a little bit, and Kaka scouts it out. But little things going Aster's way. The fact that the net worth lead isn't growing is a huge benefit for them.
There will be some concerns around how they can defend this tower. Would you be surprised if Xtreme don't try and pressure this, knowing Chrono and Supernova on cooldown?
Yeah, I'd be a little surprised for sure. I mean, I guess the main thing that I'm worried about is that you don't exactly have the Primal Beast there, but, well, actually, as I say that, XinQ and JT making the rotation through the Radiant jungle to be able to try and get a backstab start on SumaiL or Kaka. That's going to be the main goal for them.
Positioning is ever so vital for these Aster heroes. We spoke about how squishy they are.
Kaka's positioning is so good, though.
Nice sidestep. SumaiL able to dodge it. They'll go for XinQ now. It's a great jump in from JT onto both supports, and Alpichio's in some danger. It's a dive back to the tier 2 tower. Meanwhile, XXS though, he's actually looking to fight, trying to cast some spells on the XinQ, but the rest of Xtreme going to be able to move on over. Still, even the rest of us are wanting to try and poke and prod, maybe getting the kill into DY, but that's not to be. Regardless, Xtreme get Kaka and they get the tower.
So most of the time we see Monet down here farming. He's farming in like the safest place, right? Under a ward, inside the jungle, not really pressuring the map too much. But I actually think that's pretty important for him, just to keep this lane farm available as close to his own tower as possible. Right now, the main concern for Aster isn't necessarily pushing towers. It's just making sure that Monet is able to pick up a lot of that farm early. So he's been able to do that. He's still doing just fine on the net worth, and he's got the Midas to be able to play around with, looking to build into that BKB so that once he picks it up, when Xtreme Gaming hit all of their really big timings, he's going to be ready to go.
And he really could be the turning point here for Aster. We know team fights are going to be breaking out surely. We know Xtreme want to continue to pressure the map. Roche could be something they're considering with the Arcane Orb from the OD. But if Monet can land a multi-man Chrono with the Sunray, with the damage that SumaiL can pump out, all of a sudden we could have an even ball game. They need one fight. But that is always a difficult thing as well. It's going to be up to Xtreme just to position accordingly. And we will see that fight happen now.
Seen a lot of things though. I mean, Picho is doing fairly well on the Phoenix. He's going to get caught out here, but nice placement of the egg to be able to pop the smoke, make space for the rest of his team, not give up his own life. Very, very nicely done.
Is that Roche now though? Would you not? I wonder if you would prefer dying. Like, what do you get out of egg on cooldown for Xtreme? I feel like you got to get something.
I mean, it looks like they're heading towards the Twin Gate to be able to get out Roshan, but
that was...
yeah, Kaka, he's going to get punished a little bit.
It was an interesting choice to hit the creep, so they were kind of like a beacon of where he was. Maybe he wanted to he was in two minds whether he'd be able to farm it and then had to decide last second to TP out. But yeah, I wonder if it was, dying was better because they're going to go straight to top to clear the wave and potentially even look at Roche now.
But the thing is, like, you're still able to farm. That's the big thing. And you've got sustained damage with the Timbersaw, with the Keeper of the Light. And the main thing is just making sure they get into their items. Like, SumaiL, he's going to 4-staff. He just wants to make sure that he's not going to get beat down by this Primal Beast. Kaka, yeah, sure, he died, but he's still only 300 gold away from the Blink Dagger. And the net worth, it's growing very, very slowly. But I think you're going to be satisfied, not happy, but satisfied if you're Aster with this sort of situation. Have to be careful though, walking underneath this vision.
Both sides have a ward there.
XXS is way too deep. He TP'd into the outpost, man.
Oh.
Maybe they expected them to be doing Roche, I'm not sure. I mean, that's a lot of that sustained damage that I was talking about, and it's gone. I mean, SumaiL's going to do his best to try and push out this wave, but the range creep will die, so backdoor protection's still there. But XinQ, this is a deep dive. He wants to take out Kaka. He wants to slow down that Blink Dagger timing.
And ult Monet. They're actually going to jump in. It's a lot of damage with the help of Pichio. They'll be able to kill off the Outward Devourer. Can they get more valuable kills though as JT holds Monet down and DY gets the extra control required. Ghost is not going to mess around as well. We'll push SumaiL and the Phoenix back to the high ground. We do see what can happen though if you land a multi-man chrono and the Phoenix is on the outskirts, but unfortunately for them, the chain control was ever so perfect for Xtreme.
I just imagine if the Timbersaw is actually alive for that one, right? You've got the Chakram going in, you've got the combination immediately after the Chronosphere ends as well with the Timber Chain and the Whirling Death. So XXS just slightly out of position that time around and really preventing a lot of the damage output for his team. So much attention being put in onto Kaka just to slow him down a little bit, but regardless of all that, he's got his Blink Dagger now, and well, it's a decent chrono, but an even better stun combination, like you mentioned, coming through from DY at the very end there.
And it's a bit of a late one.
Take Roche. That's the plus.
And the items
feel
are
like
still...
Aster are going to be in a position to take Roche, though. They would much rather spend time farming, I feel.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, but these items are getting picked up. You have, importantly, the Blink on Kaka, and Monet is still second in net worth. So, really, it's just not the items. I think we need to look at the cooldowns. That's a big thing. So, again, what can Xtreme look to do out on the map? They've got 60 seconds with no chrono to worry about. Lanes are in a pretty good position for them at the moment. And Ghost is very close to a BKB.
It's going to be pretty vital. Again, like, you just will not care about 4 heroes on Aster's side if you've got that BKB available. Looks like XM is going into the Aghanim Scepter first, as opposed to any sort of BKB for himself. I mean, it's pretty nice going up against the Chronosphere, right? That extra little bit of a mana barrier for himself if he ends up getting caught.
Sure, it's something that's been buffed up a little bit in the recent patch, so I don't have a very good feel of the Scepter at all, so we'll see how...
I've never seen it, so yeah. I'm keen to see, just kind of theory crafting. I mean, if you're trying 100 to 0 him, OD with all of the max mana that he's going to have. We've got another 4 minutes until we tick over to 25. That extra 3% max mana bonus from the Null Talisman, if he keeps it, is going to be quite nice for him.
And they actually give him the Aegis as well. All right. What do we feel like the name of the game for Aster is now, though? Because, again, are you looking to try and take these fights 5-on-5, or is it just try and split up the map and waste away as much of the Aegis as you can?
I mean, I'm sure they would love to be able to split up the map and waste the Aegis, but you really don't have that much map to be able to play with. The fact that you've been able to keep the vision that you've got on the map is honestly kind of crazy, right? Like, Picho has been able to place some nice observer wards, one in a pretty obvious spot, but one, not so much. And it really does mean that you're able to read things out a lot better. You're able to punish this ball-up style that Xtreme Gaming are going for, but you still haven't taken any towers. That's the main concern for mine. I'm sure they would love to take this top tier 1 tower, but they're just not in a position to do it. They could get punished way too easily. With a flamethrower, though, could be enough to do it.
Yeah, not a bad one to be able to find. I think we need to keep close attention on how this Lotus Orb comes into play for XXS.
He chose level 12 as well, so he's got Sunray maxed out.
Big.
Didn't go the Spell Amp.
Yeah.
An extra point in the Icarus dive instead, which, I mean, you do get a lot of value out of the second point in the Icarus dive. I'd be a bit surprised if he didn't go Spell Amp, though, once he reaches level 13. And he's working towards a Scythe of Vice for himself as well. So if you're going for these super deep dives, you can look to get punished. But, I mean, JT, he's an absolute beast. 3,500 HP right now on the Primal Beast. No BKB just yet, but... I mean, he's working into an Aghanim Scepter next just to be able to prevent things like the Time Lock and the Reactive Armor. It's going to be very nice there.
We will see, though, like, if he does get held into place within the Chrono and Spirit Vessel's given to him and you have the percent damage from the Sunray, I do think he still dies even with all this health, so...
Oh, yeah, possibly. I mean, Techies is working into a Lotus, though, so you're going to be able to get rid of that that Spirit Vessel. So, yeah, they're basically covering all their bases. I've been really impressed by how Xtreme Gaming have played this game so far. They've just got to keep the tempo moving. They've got to hit this next timing. Probably they're just waiting for XM to hit the Aghanim Scepter and his 15 talent. He just gets the extra movement speed. Didn't actually go the Astral Cast range because the Ags did change. So I think now is go time for them.
Aster even going to start to bring their numbers down. Monet's not here with the team at the moment.
Look at that back
Early use of the Supernova. It's a pretty good egg. They're not going to be able to address it to start the fight. Monet will finally show up. Chrono clipping onto 2. They're going to be able to deal with the Dinosaur, but can they deal with Ghost afterwards? He repositions over to the right side, but Aster having all their ultimates on cooldown will not be able to fight with this second round. So XinQ and XM charge into the middle. They're going to be able to catch up to Monet. Have they got the stun control? Yes, they do. XinQ's perfect with the timing as Xtreme, they find through. It does come at the cost of 2 of their own members, but the Aegis will still stand in the hands of XM.
I think they're concerned that they're just lacking a little bit of the damage right now. You can see SumaiL, he's opted to go into a Dagon now just to be able to pick up his damage output a little bit. Of course, he gets the extra cast range from the Spirit form. And a little bit of lifesteal. Doesn't go amiss either. It was a pretty good combination of spells coming through. And again, have a look at that fight recap and have a look at the damage done by Picho. 5.4k on the Phoenix. If you're able to just sit back and land 2 full Sunrays, again, this is without the spell amplification as well. So it could look to get even stronger. And he's the one that works out best for Team Aster at the end of that entire team fight. So he's only about 1,300 gold away from this Scythe of Ice as well. Maybe that's going to be what turns the game around for Aster.
Yeah. And regardless of experience as well, with him being able to stay alive. I know you're speaking about kind of the items, but really the experience is another big thing. But Xtreme, they don't want to stop. It's another super aggressive play from them. Like we've spoken a lot, cooldowns, it's going to be a pivotal thing whether they're up or not. And currently with Aster not having the Chrono or the Egg, means that Xtreme going to be able to get the kill onto Kaka. And this gives them firm control of the triangle, so they can cut top, they can cut mid. Might have it. Oh, nice roll. XinQ kicks XXS back out of the tower. They will be able to drain all his damage, and meanwhile Ghost is going to pump it out. The Sunray unable to do enough to keep him alive. As Xtreme, one by one they go. That's all set up to that deep observer. They've got a butterfly now on Ghost.
Monet is the only one that they're scared of when he's got that Chrono available. But, I mean, a Butterfly, tons of protection for him. You've got the Aghanim Scepter on the Outworld Devourer, tons of protection for him. The Primal Beast is just tanky as hell. That's all he really needs. So, I mean, this is a crazy, crazy amount of utility that they've got here. And they've even got that full axe on the Primal, too.
How do they start? Is JT the target? Monet's going to run straight to DY. That'll kind of signal what's going on. Xtreme can play accordingly. It's not, the Razor's not the person you're going to be able to bring down at the start, especially with the Lotus Orb given over an early Supernova. Ghost is trying to turn, it's going to force Monet to have to drop the Chronosphere, and that's where XM can come into play. But the Astral protects him for the moment. Everything has been used from Aster. Can they still come out on top as XM? An aggressive jump into the middle. Monet's going to look to turn, but JT holds him down, slams him into the ground, but there's just no damage from Aster. XM has nothing to fear. A triple kill, and is going to look for the Ultra as well. JT snipes it, but they will be rewarded in the end. A 4-for-1 exchange as Xtreme are playing these fights so incredibly well.
I was a little worried with XM losing the Aegis about 30 seconds prior to that fight, but he's just got enough to be able to survive it through the Gossamer Cape. He's still holding on to it right now, protecting him from a lot of these right clicks coming through from Monet. And the Essence Flux Aghanim Scepter upgrade ended up coming through for him as well at the very end there, giving him an extra 1,500 effective HP to be able to play around with. And I mean, he's just going to look to grow his mana pool even more so that he's able to survive future attempts in onto them. I like how hard they committed onto XinQ though. He's giving so much distress towards them. I think the big area where they lost this fight was this early use of the Sunray that just didn't quite connect onto everyone. We've seen Picho be the main damage output for them, with XinQ rolling in on the backlines, but it's a load assault by Kaka to be able to get rid of that geomagnetic grip silence. They use the Figure of Death as well, but the Sunray's just not positioned in the right sort of way that they have any extra follow-up once all these cooldowns are used.
I think
Just have
you
a look at
can
XM's
even...
HP, that shield that goes on to him in about 1 or so seconds. There we go, bang, just so survivable.
And you still can do so much damage, man. It's not a concern, which is a crazy thing with this hero. I feel like we can even simplify that fight even more and just say, like, it's... DY ran into Monet on the high ground before it was like the line to jump, or before they were completely set up with the formation. Because as soon as DY scouted out Monet, instantly XinQ TP'd to the outpost, that new outpost location, and they were able to take the 5-on-5. But they were setting up the trap. Like, they dropped that Observer one on the high ground, but unfortunately, just the positioning was a little bit too far forward for Monet.
Man, the burst damage is already really good on Xtreme Gaming, and now you've got a ceremonial robe as well on DY to be able to play around with.
Ghost?
We
try and
he thought he was going to catch Kaka. Big fingers. Oh, DY, they're walking into each other? Hello, Kaka?
What's going on?
He just walked past DY and tried to TP away, but he gets blinked on, he gets hexed up, and we talked about the hex coming through from Picho. He's still a little bit away. I swear he was only about 600 gold away a good 5 or so minutes ago, and he's still 200 away. That could be a big turnaround for them for sure, but still not quite having it. Has the gold to be able to do it now, but they're just placing themselves around this secret shop, so I'm not sure if it's going to be the easiest place for him to be able to just bring his courier out to. Skirting along the sidelines. He might run into Ghost though. Really don't want to lose this courier on the Phoenix. Ooh, don't go through the creep wave. See it? I saw the courier moving. Is Ghost going to be able to snipe it? Oh no.
Oh, no.
Well, that's not good.
They're going to try and take a fight, DY. Just Kaka's health just evaporates. XM's a little bit too late, but there's the Hex reveal. And there's the burst. No chrono now to work with. And it's not going to be enough just with Picho. I mean, he's been able to do a ridiculous amount of damage inside the fights, but it's all Xtreme, and they're going to look for the finishing blow. Nothing for them to worry about. They will force a buyback out of Monet. He's going to TP straight into the Hex. Monet, a dieback. And that'll be it. Xtreme, they can walk it down. And they're the G's. What a start, Xtreme. They'll take game 1 30 minutes in.
I think this was just Xtreme Gaming outplaying them. Honestly, like, this was, I thought, a draft that Aster were able to wrap their heads around once they got to that later stages, but it was just back to back to back aggression.